Okay, I think we are live. 1 second, let me check the audio. All right, we are live. All right. Today, we are analyzing a subject to deal in Peyton, Colorado. And what caught my eye was that this person that posted it in the community says that 11% entry, recently renovated with massive $650 to $1,000 of cash flow as a Section 8 rental. All right, cool. Let's see if this is going to cash flow as a Section 8 rental. So this property is 7856 Coffee Road, Payne, Colorado 80831. 1736 square feet, built in 2000, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, both replaced in 2021. So I don't need to put any renovations for the roof. No HOA. Zillow has this wrong. 179 months for residential water and sewer. Okay, good to know. That's probably what the tenant's going to be paying in that situation. I'll take the word for it. Total entry $49,000, $20,000 to the seller, $20,000 for assignment fee, and $9,000 to the agent commission. Mortgage balance is $405. Interest rate 3.125%. Great interest rate. So this would be a subject to transaction, which means that you would be taking over the existing loan and just making payments on behalf of the seller. The loan will remain under the name of the seller, even though you're taking over the deed. Okay. So Section 8 FMR, according to this, is 3,580 per month, which results in a 16% cash on cash return. All right, that means my criteria was 16%, but let's see. Okay, first thing we want to do is I'm going to look up the property. So I just start loading up some pages. Let's look at the condition of the home. Great home, great flooring. Man, you might not even need to paint this place. Looks really turnkey. Bathroom looks great. Okay, I really like the condition of this home. Great property, children's backyard. I think I will be really proud to put a family in this home. Okay, $440,000. They are accepting backup offers, so hey, that's how you know it is. Where is this located? Falcon, near Walmart. Okay, I like that. So there will be some jobs. And street views. Yeah, I can tell this is already a nice neighborhood because you see like it's a nice newly built area. Great curb appeal in all the homes, so lots of ownership pride in this area. So I like it. What's up, Andy? How you doing? Thanks for joining me, man. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to look at the FMR. So this person said the FMR, the fair market rent, is 3,580. Okay. What county is this in? So I'm gonna go to Redfin, get the county. This is in El Paso County in Colorado. So when you Google HUD FMR, you can click on Access to Small Area FMR, look up FY 2024 Small Area FMRs, click the state, and then click the county, and then we're gonna get the zip code. The zip code for this property is 80831. 80831. And you can see he is right. The fair market rent, according to this, is $3,580. So I'm going to make sure I write this one down. FMR 80831. FMR 3-bed 80831. 3580. That's a really high rent. 3580. And then for a 4-bedroom, it's 4210. 4210. Okay. Let me make sure this is a 4-bed. Boom. Next thing I want to do is, even though, right, what we always search for is the rent reasonableness test. And that's the test we want to apply after we look at the market rents. So when we look at this property for 7856 Coffee Road, we're going to go to affordablehousing.com, go to the owner section, go to the market rent estimator, plug in the address, and plug in the bedroom count. Okay. Now, interesting, right? The number I pay attention to here on the far right is the 1899. So let me just put 1900 just so I get the numbers nice and round. So less typing for me. 2094, 212, and 1998. So this is the crazy part. Even though the fair market rent, FMR, is 3,580, that's a rent ceiling. It does not necessarily mean that you can charge the rent ceiling simply because they're a voucher holder. And yesterday, when we were analyzing a deal in Decatur, Georgia, we saw that to be true, right? 2435. And we'll get the rents for the 4 bedrooms really quick. But what I want to call your attention to is like the website that we looked at yesterday was really straightforward. Where was it? Payment standards. Here it is. Decatur Housing Authority. They explain it really well. Here's, look at this. Read this line right here. It says, regardless of the SAFMR, small area fair market rents, or payment standard, the amount of rent an owner can charge must be reasonable in comparison to unassisted rental units in a neighborhood with similar amenities. This is how I know I cannot charge. What's up, Victor? How you doing, man? This is how I know I cannot charge $35.80 because this rule is common and applicable to all public housing authorities. So, hey, what if this was a mistake, right? What if 1899 was a mistake? So let's go ahead and look at some rental properties in the area. So when I look at Peyton, so this is really close to the area. So let me look up 3 bedrooms. So right now I'm in Peyton, Colorado, filtered on Zillow for rent, 3-bed homes, and I'm looking at these properties. And I'm trying to figure out if there's any properties here that can get a $35.80 rent. There's one home right here that's listed for 6 bedrooms. So not a comp, in my opinion. But let's take a quick look at this. 6-bed. I think the condition of the home looks like our bed. Let's see. It's been listed for 9 days, and it's only had 4 contacts. Let me shift this over so you guys can see this better. 9 days. This is a good rule of thumb to see whether or not a property is in demand for the current listed rental price. Right? If it's been listed for 9 days and it's only been contacted 4 times, chances are it's a little overpriced. You really want a 1-to-1 ratio. If you see that it's been listed for 9 days and there's 18 contacts, and that's how you know that's probably, how would I say it? It's probably priced correctly on a 1-to-1 ratio. This is 2,200. Let's take a quick look at this. How many contacts? 9 days listed, 6 contacts. Okay, that's a little bit more fair. This property is listed for 2,000. There you go. It's been listed for 32 days, and there's been 33 contacts. That gives me a really good idea that chances are the market rent here in this area is $2,030. And when you compare that with the market rent estimate that we saw on affordablehousing.com at around $1,900, this all starts to make sense now, right? The data starts supporting the thesis in your head that in $1,900, $2,000 is actually the fair market rent for this area. And you're not going to be able to achieve a FMR, the SIA FMR of $35.80. So I'm definitely not going to underwrite with $35.80. Could you give a call to the housing authority and say like, hey, what's going on here? I see the SAFMR is $35.80, but chances are they're going to be like, no, that's going to be dependent on the market conditions. And right now, I do not see anything in the market that supports that $35.80 rent as a comp. At least not what's available on the market based on what I saw just now. And based on some of the number of contacts that I've seen and the number of days it's been listed, right? So you are all seeing what's going on in my head and how I am going through the analysis and justifying it to myself on whether or not this is the deal. So, all right. Well, next thing up is let's plug in the numbers to see what's the deal. So if I assume that my rent is going to be $1,900, right? Because that's what I'm seeing. Let's say I stretch it auto 2,000 because I do see that there's a property here being listed for 2,000. So I'm going to assume that I can get similar rents at $2,000. All right, let's plug in the numbers here. What is my purchase price? So the mortgage balance is $405,000. I'm going to put this all the way to the right now so you guys can see this. $405,389. Interest rate is 3.125%. Entry fee, $20,000 to the seller, $20,000 to the assignment, and then also equals plus $9,000 to the realtor. That's $29,000. That doesn't even include the closing costs yet. PITI is $2,149.96. So I'm going to take and go to my profit section and equals $2,149.96. That's the PITI amount, right? So I'm backing into what the sum needs to be. So I'm going to subtract the principal and subtract the interest, and I'm going to get my property taxes and insurance number as is right now. Then I'm going to add in an extra $35 just because I'm assuming the current property is. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate that feedback, man. Then I'm going to assume that I'm going to pay an additional at least $35 a month for an investment property compared to a primary residence property. Okay. All right. Let's plug in the purchase price. So I'm going to assume since the mortgage balance is 405, I'm going to add the cash to seller, and that's going to be my purchase price for this property because it's not listed right now. Oh, there it is, 454. 454. 389. Okay, there it goes. All right, then I'm going to assume that I'm only going to have a very, very minimal rehab on this property. I'm going to make sure the landscaping is clean. I don't even think we need to paint the place, but just in case, I'm going to take the square footage, 1736, and I'm going to divide that by 5, just so I have a little bit of budget to like do some touch-up stuff in case there are some paint issues, because you can never sometimes trust the pictures on there. Maybe there's some blemishes and stuff like that you just got to touch up. I'm going to assume I need to replace the 2 toilets so that they're high pressure flush toilets, just as a personal preference. But I'm going to assume the water heat is working, and I'm going to assume that there are no termite issues here since it looks like it's pretty new and they just fixed the roof. So very, very small rehab at $3,000. All right, at $2,000, I still have 10% for my maintenance, and I still have 10% for my property management. I think this is a nicer home, so I'm going to put it at a 3% vacancy here. But this is what is resulting in right now. At $2,000 rent, this is now a negative $645 cash flow. Cash and cash return is negative 12.23. Purchase price is $454. Rehab is $3,000. I'm just putting in some numbers down. $20,000 for the down, and then the sub-2 loan is 3.125%. Right? Here's the problem. Here's how it was. I don't think they were misleading anybody on purpose. I think it was just a lack of knowledge and lack of education on the rent reasonableness test, because sometimes people might assume that, hey, whatever you see on the HUD's website is what you're going to get. They always forget that there's a rent reasonableness test, just like I showed you on Decatur Housing Authority for one of the sites that we looked at today. Remember, regardless of the FMR or the payment standard that's been listed, the amount of rent an owner can charge must be reasonable in a comparison to unassisted rental units, because they don't want folks with housing choice vouchers getting charged more than what the market rate determines to be fair. Makes sense, right? You can't charge more just because they're a voucher holder. You got to treat everybody fairly. So, had this property been really $3,580, could you have cash flow? Yeah. If the rent was $3,580 using my calculations, this would be a $571 cash flow, and the cash and cash return is 10.8%, and now still assuming $454 and $3,000 of rehab. So this is the difference between buying a deal that's going to cash flow you $571 or buying a deal and losing $645 a month. Hope that sinks in with you guys, because this is so crucial. This is so important. If you just assumed and did not know about the rent reasonableness test, you might have bought this property without having done any due diligence, without having called the public housing authority and say, hey, I want to charge $3,580. And they're like, yeah, okay, you wish. Everybody else in the market, as we saw in Zillow, is getting charged $2,000, $2,100. What makes your property able to charge $3,580, $1,500 more than what the market determines is fair? And then all of a sudden, if you assume your property manager is right, if you assume you're setting aside the right amount of money every single month, now you're losing $645 a month. That's the difference between learning how to spot a deal and recognizing when something is not a deal. So that was it for today's example. I thought I would go through it and share with you guys like what's really going on when people are marketing certain deals. Sometimes it's simply like lack of knowledge, or they don't understand it, or maybe they have a relationship in Peyton, Colorado that gives them the full $3,580. I don't know, but I know that this is a losing deal based on what I know. But who knows? Maybe someone can create some magic. Maybe you got a insider person that works at a housing authority. But for me, this is not a deal because the rent you're truly able to achieve is probably closer to 2,100 or 2,200 max, but definitely not 3,580. All right. So that was today's example. And hopefully all of you will continue to stay consistent with me. I really hope you underwrite a deal every single day with me. Stay consistent, because most importantly, you got to learn how to figure out what a deal looks like when a deal comes across your table and slaps you across the face. But even more important is that now this is not a solicitation for any investments. This is not investment advice. But more importantly, I hope today is a really good example that you guys can take and share it with your partners and say, when they ask you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? You can show them this example of how you caught someone that thought it was a deal and you figured out it was not a deal using the same resources. Big swing. That's right, Victor. 1,100 swing. You go from positive 571 to negative 645. Simply because of how they're marketing a deal. Look at that. Second line, it says massive $650 to $1,000 cash flow a month. That's a Section 8 rental. That's the difference between losing money. And I had to show this example with you because sometimes people don't really understand what I mean by the rent reasonableness test. Here it is on a website, on a public housing authority's website, that tells you what does it mean to be reasonable. And please do your research. I hope this saves you guys a ton of money. I saw some people posting in comments like, yeah, I want this deal. Just do your research. I'm not saying it can't be a good deal if your criteria is different. Maybe you just want it for a depreciation play, but understand that's your own personal criteria. That's whatever you want to do and your investment strategy. Some people really do invest for break even. Some people invest for depreciation because they might save more money that way. And that's like their gain on top of it. So please, all I ask is underwrite with me every single day, using the same property, using the same spreadsheet, put it in your own YouTube channel, claim it as your example, because we need everybody's help to solve this affordable housing problem. And if that means that you guys are able to raise capital from other folks, from your partners, and they can have more confidence in you on that you know what you're doing, that's it. Yesterday, someone asked me, how do I get started? And I said, well, everybody's energy is different. Everybody's passion is different. For me, I have found that underwriting a deal is the most important to me because I'm very much afraid of losing money. And I have analysis paralysis. So the only way for me to get over analysis paralysis is by underwriting a deal every single day, doing the work. This is the implied work of buying 1,000 deals. If you want to buy 1,000 deals, you probably have to analyze 10,000 deals. that's the truth. This is the non-sexy part of our real estate that people don't talk about very often. So underwrite the deals with me every single day. Show yourself that when a deal comes across your plate, that you can tell yourself, hey, you know what you're doing, so that you can have the confidence to proceed with pulling the trigger on a deal. Because the only way you will become confident is by doing the work and looking back at all the work that you have done. And you're going to be able to look back at your own YouTube channel. You can even keep all your videos unlisted, so that if, in case you're shy, you don't want to put it out to the world, just keep it unlisted. But when the time comes, you got to tell a partner or you got to tell yourself that you know what you're doing. Show them the past 100 days. Show them the past 365 days of all the deals that you looked at. And now all of a sudden, you're better at analyzing deals than 95% of the world. And that's it. I hope that gives you another way, another step to get started. And thank you so much for being part of the affordable housing community. Without people like you, I would never have the home I grew up in. So thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Saturday afternoon. I know we all have family and friends. Sometimes we got to create commitments. We have to make excuses, and we just got to put in the work and do the thing. And this is the implied work that no one ever talks about. So thank you for tuning in with me and hanging out with me. I really love it. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Travis, I saw your comment. Thank you. You're very much welcome. Thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing Saturday with your family and your friends. And I'm going to be back here again tomorrow. All right, let's keep this up. Have an amazing day, everybody.